Well, how do that, chums, as I, Captain of the Steves, and today, chums, for you guys out there, in the viewerverse, I have a little bit of speculation around what Hello Games might be cooking up as another project. So yes, I'm not just going to pull this out of thin air, I'm going to go by some of the things that I've found out in the verse. Hello there, Viking and Gek, chums, how are you? Yeah, they're doing good. Righto, so if I head on through here, basically, there's an artist that works for Hello Games that goes by the name of Beau. Hopefully I've pronounced that correct. But yes, he's got his own art station over at artstation.com. Yes, you can see his details up on the screen right now. And you may recognise the face from some of the actual videos that Hello Games have put out there in the verse. Anyway, executamundo, let's see this chap's artwork and concepts. Well, chums, so yes, a big disclaimer here. Now, I'm just looking at his artwork and looking at sort of things that swim around in this chap's head and looking to see if I can see assets from No Man's Sky that might be carried over into these concept visual artwork presentations that may or may not have anything to do with anything that's in the pipeline. This is sheer speculation. I mean, when you look at this image and you see the sort of snake-like creatures in the sky and all the sort of wormy updates that we've had, and then you see that he's got these little guys with him that look like something out of the last campfire. It kind of makes you think that Hello Games have got all these sort of assets and merged them into this one sort of conceptual idea, or bits of this have been used for The Last Campfire and bits of No Man's Sky. I mean, it looks like a medley of everything going on here, people, inside of Beau art folder. Now, as you go through the art folder, you will see No Man's Sky concept art, but this is sort of untitled type stuff. Now, you would notice similarities in the backpack of this chap that you can see here in this image as he's striding up the stairs with the images in the first shot that I just showed you with the similar sort of backpack and styling of the character. Now, as we go through these screenshots, you are going to see other character types, like a robot dude with like a mushroom type hat. So here we go, I just went back to the first screen here, and you can see there that the backpack and everything that this guy has got on him and the style of the character is very much in keeping. And on this image, look at this little chum that he's got with him, this little Ewok-y type cat-like feline creature, pretty darn sweet, and I love the emergence of this creature coming out of the pond as well. Really nice. Now the trees in the background look very much like the trees in No Man's Sky that we have now, so it kind of looks like some of this concept artwork could be based on actual assets that they have in the offices. I mean, I'm just speculating, I'm spitballing. See if you see the same sort of similarities and see if this is starting to spark your interest and go, Captain Steve might be onto something, or I could be barking up the wrong tree entirely. However, it does look really quite nice aesthetically, and I really do hope, fingers crossed, that this is something more than just him messing around with an art package, you know? Hopefully it's got something more tangible. I mean, he's used the same character multiple times. It almost feels like visuals for a game idea that he may have. It may have nothing to do with Hello Games. It may have nothing to do with a future project. But what I'm seeing here is the use of some of the assets that we see inside of No Man's Sky brought into his concept artwork. So it makes me go, yeah, that kind of looks like a colossal archive. That kind of looks like the droid creatures that we have with the mushroom type hats. And it all sorts of blends, if you like. I don't know. Maybe he's just used that as inspiration. I mean, I could be barking up the wrong tree entirely. But what this looks like to me is almost like Skyrim in space, chums. Yes, like a fantasy meld with sci-fi, and I'm liking what I'm seeing. I mean, that image looks just like a colossal archive, and the little creature character that looks like maybe the player character almost looks like a bipedal version of the droids that we have currently on droid planets. This looks like something out of Akira, sort of merged with No Man's Sky, because you can see a boundary failure there. These guys with all the cables coming down and plugged into them, they could be sentinel bipedals, couldn't they, or something? Or maybe void-type creatures, who knows? With all those cables coming down as well, it reminds me very much so. Let me just go back. It reminds me very much so of the sort of, you know, the cables and everything that we see in the back of the stations now that are hooked up to that big centralised machine. Or could it be? I don't know. Are we going to get a new race that looks like that? Those freaking samurai robots. Here we go. We've just hit onto some of the No Man's Sky artwork and concepts that he'd done multiple years ago. So a lot of this artwork that you're seeing here is a mixture of new stuff, old stuff. And it's really got me sort of interested in what Beau has been up to recently. I mean, imagine if these are all hanging up on the wall inside of the studio as sort of conceptual ideas for things that they could bring into the No Man's Skyverse. Because that could be what these are. These could be, maybe, conceptual artworks for things where they want to move No Man's Sky to. I mean, we've seen so much change already. They could bring a lot of this stuff into No Man's Sky. This might not be anything to do with the project they're working on, is what I'm getting across to you. This is speculation, spitballing, and looking at what an artist from the Hello Games studio is drawing in their free time. So he has got some titled here, Walking My Dog, or Lunch Break Art, and what he does is freaking mind-blowing, and you can even see the progress that he's done through there. The guy is an awesome artist. Beau, if you're watching, double thumbs up, my friend. Your artwork is freaking sublime. I wish I could draw like that. I mean, yes, I have used Beryl Charisma pencils in the past and done tattoo designs and things, but this stuff is freaking mind-blowing, and I love your 3D art as well, like the little creature and stuff, but we'll hit up that in a moment. But moving down the page, there's some really cool conceptual stuff here, which blatantly isn't for the same sort of project as all the other artwork. It seems to be other sketches, like the VR helmet girl, really cool. And that girl with the skull in the background that you've labelled red and blue, very nice. That looks like a sort of tattoo sort of design. That's the kind of thing I used to draw ages ago. But this stuff is pretty damn mind-blowing stuff. I mean, if this is a working title, I'm so excited for it. You know, like you've got Bethesda working on Starfield, and they say it's going to be Skyrim in space. This looks very Skyrim in space, it really does. I've just hit up No Man's Sky biomes, and some of your biome artwork obviously wasn't in-game right at the very start of release, but I'm seeing so much of this sort of stuff making it into the verse now in current iteration. So it looks like a lot of your conceptual artwork may not have been implemented at the start, but it certainly is now. Heck yes. So yes, I'm wondering whether a lot of your other concept art that we're seeing here, it might not be for a future project. It could be for influencing No Man's Sky in direction of new biomes and perhaps new direction. I mean, I would say 2021, when it comes to updates, was sort of bringing in bits and bobs, and it doesn't feel like it's all joined together. But maybe some of this, if this comes into the verse, it's definitely going to do that sort of melding. Heck yes. Oh, look at that. Freaking dragon-type creatures flying across a planet. And I love that sort of biome that you've got going there. The contrasting of the sky and the ground in this one, freaking awesome. Reminds me very much of the E3 footage, but that was a new sort of player model again that we see there. And I love that little cat-type looking robot. And look, it's a fallen giant mech golem type looking thing out of the ground. It looks like a blade coming up there with number 7 on it. Freaking awesome. Imagine that. Instead of finding a crashed derelict freighter, you find a freaking giant freaking downed golem. Mentals. And that looked like some sort of weird astrally type cyber plane. You got these weird bird creatures actually landed, spreading their wings on the tree type structure. I really do hope that they start drawing inspiration from this. I mean, look at the character in that with a giant freaking sci-fi type hammer in a very sort of, I don't know, fantasy sort of landscape. The melding of sci-fi and fantasy type realms, almost like Lord of the Rings meets cyberpunk or something. This is mind-blowing stuff, Beau. Yes, if this isn't something that Hello Games has gone, you know what, we need to make this. They need to sort of start pointing at this artwork and go, we need to make this. Because this is freaking awesome stuff. It really is. This is the stuff, I mean, that looked very sort of Last Campfire-ish, didn't it? And this stuff, the sort of the little drawing you've done here, this illustration, I think is beautiful. It doesn't sort of tie into all the rest of the stuff we're seeing here. This one with him coming down the cable reminds me so much of how Star Wars starts with the new character and she's sliding down and torching around in sort of that derelict area. That is beautiful and reminds me very much of all the building parts that we've got now in-game with the sort of canopies and things like that and the posts, and it looks very sort of Tatooine-esque. So yeah, I'm wondering whether they have used some of your artwork for current inspiration, or whether you may have done this new artwork, I mean you've got it as your background image now, based off of what we're seeing in sort of frontiers and settlements. Really like your 3D creature. Very cool, like a sort of rhino hippo or something. He's very gnarly, isn't he? Very nicely animated, sir, as well. Very cool. Yes, and I really quite like this helmet as well. Nice and keeping. Very awesome. Yes, it looks like a medley of styles, this thing. Yes, it looks like something out of Dune, sort of crossed with Destiny and Mad Max. It's really nice. And I love that visual. That's very nice too. This is the one that I was on about with the VR helmet girl. I don't think that's got anything in bearing with anything else. I love that. That's a really cool little T-Rexy type thing. Back to the VR girl with the helmet. Very awesome. There we are. A dragon. A freaking dragon. A dragon in space. Yes, that'll be bloody awesome. Heck yes it would. And I really like that too, with the cube in the middle of the forest there. Just so much level of intrigue. So when we was looking at the art video, an art style video that Hello Games put out there years ago, I put a card at the top so you can watch that, and you actually see Beau and he talks a little to camera about the art and the visuals of No Man's Sky and his part and what he played in that. So watch that because it's really interesting. Gives a bit of insight into the mind of Beau. Back to Captain Steve up in the station. So there you go, people. So that was the sort of artwork of Beau at the Hello Games studio. And yes, some of that is new, some of it is old. And yeah, it does make you wonder whether some of this conceptual artwork might be inspiration for maybe future updates to No Man's Sky, or perhaps even the new project that they're working on. With Bethesda working on their version of, Skyrim in space, maybe Hello Games want to do it. Who knows? Anyway, mind-blowing freaking ideas, and I'd love to hear your ideas on all of this. Please put them in the comment section. Heck yes, and until next time, you've all been awesome. Cheery bye. Goodbye, goodbye, and goodbye again. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see, please hit a like and a subscribe, and I'd like to say a massive great big thank you to all of my backers over on Patreon and over on YouTube membership. Thanking you, backers! And if you want to support this channel, just don't skip the adverts. That throws revenue down my avenue. Or yeah, just stay with Captain Steve that little bit longer and hit something on this screen. There's merch here now too.